Okay, I have not done Edmonton's goaltending, and there's some interesting things with Edmonton's goaltending. So when people look at this series and they wonder, it's just goaltenders, it's interesting. The Oilers, especially considering they haven't had much success since the '80s, so you would expect a high turnover in goaltenders. Really hasn't happened, not compared to the record. In 79-80, they had six goalies altogether. The only ones that reached 20 games were Eddie Mio and Jim Corsi. Yes, that Jim Corsi. He's the reason for Corsi on your advanced stats. 80-81, Eddie Mio and Ron Lowe are your goaltenders. 81-82, it's Grant Fuhr and Ron Lowe. So Grant Fuhr comes in as a rookie, becomes a starter. 82-83, Moog gets those minutes. So it's Moog and Fuhr. 83-84, 84-85, 86-87, 87, or 86, yeah, all the way through to 86-87, it's Moog and Fuhr. So that's a long time for those two to be net minding. And it makes sense since they were a fantastic team. 87-88, Grant Fuhr plays 75 games. And thus, nobody else plays 20. 88-89, it's Fuhr and Radford. Look out for Radford because in 89-90 he stole Fuhr's job. Fuhr got hurt. Radford played so well while Fuhr was hurt. He became the starter. And Grant Fuhr, in interviews, was so nice about it. Remember interviews back then where he's like, yeah, well, these things happen. And I'm like, really? I thought it was a great team player attitude that he had. And then in 1990, of course, Radford plays a key role in the Oilers winning a Stanley Cup. And Fuhr's like, yeah, that's fine. No problem. Such a nice guy. 90-91, Bill Radford plays 60 games that year. And nobody else gets into 20. 91-92, Radford plays 67. This is a pattern. Ride your starter if you're Edmonton. 94-95, Radford and Tugnut are the ones that play at least 20 games. Tugnut does not play more games than Radford. Doesn't get even close. 93-94, Radford plays 71 games. So nobody else plays 20. 94-95, Radford and Brathwaite are your goaltenders. 95-96, it's Radford and Curtis Joseph comes in. So Cujo comes in, and in 96-97, they go, here's the mantle. He plays 72 games that year. 97-98, Joseph plays 71. Remember, these are not contending Oiler teams. These are not fantastic defensive Oiler teams. These guys are playing behind a shooting gallery, which Curtis Joseph excelled at, but eventually he's like, I want out of Edmonton. 98-99, Bob Essenza plays starter minutes, and Mikhail Stalenkov from he comes over from the Ducks, and he's the backup for that 1 year. And this was a rough year for the Oilers. 99-2000, Tommy Salo plays 70 games, so he has starter minutes, and nobody else plays 20 games. 2000-2001, Tommy Salo does it again, 73 games, and he plays 69 in 2001-2002. 2002-2003, Salo's your starter. Markkanen gets into backup minutes. 2003-2004, it's Salo and Conklin. So Tommy Salo's your starter for a number of seasons in Edmonton, which, depending on how you view things as an Oilers fan, he was solid, or, yeah, there was a lot of complaints at that time. 05-06, Markkanen gets the starter minutes, officially. Mike Morrison is the only other one that gets into 20 games. I've got Dwayne Rollison there in black with 19 next to him because he played 19 games. He's one short of getting on the board. But I have to have Rollison on there because, of course, that was the year that he led them to a Stanley Cup final, which knocked Markkanen out of the starter's job, and he's the backup in 06-07. UC Markkanen was a goaltender I liked, but clearly he wasn't starting material. 2007-2008, Guerin gets the starter minutes over Rollison. Rollison's healthy in 08-09, plays 63 games, and nobody else plays 20. And then in 2009-2010, Delorier plays 48 games, and nobody else plays 20. So Jeff Delorier, by default, is the starting goaltender. 2010-2011, Habby Bullen is the starter. Remember when he signed that big deal in Edmonton? Dubnyk the backup. 2011-2012, Habby Bullen's the backup to Dubnyk. So Habby Bullen's time in Edmonton was, it was tumultuous. Let's just leave it at tumultuous and just move on. 2012-2013, Dubnyk plays 38 games. That's, of course, lockout shortened season, and nobody else projects out to 20 games played. 2013-14, Dubnyk's your starter. Scriven's the backup. There's Brizgalov. at third, and they used 6 different goalies that year. So it was again a rough year. 2014-15, Scrivens plays starter minutes with Fast as the backup, and they used 5 different goalies that year. So it did become kind of a mixer in those 2 seasons where they were just throwing whatever they could at it to try to fix the problem. Dubnyk moves on. I think he's had a pretty good career since he left Edmonton. And they tried with Dubnyk, but it just didn't work in Edmonton. 2015-16, of course, they get Cam Talbot with Nilsson playing backup minutes. And in 2016-17, Talbot played 73 games, and he played 67 last year. So he's played 140 games. And now going to this year, Koskinen projects to play at least 20 games as the backup. But if he flops, look for Talbot to play 65-plus games again. So when people talk about Talbot, well, he wasn't very good. He's played 140 games in the last 2 years, and I don't think and that's not including the playoffs since 2017. And I don't think anybody will argue that Edmonton had a fantastic defense in front of him either season. So he's worked a lot of hockey and he's seen a lot of pucks. Your tandems, Fuhr and Moog, are the only one that reached 3 years. They played 5, and that's because Edmonton rode their starters. So their backups didn't play very often. That's why tandems, you just don't see it. Fuhr, 9 seasons of 20 or more games. Moog, 5. Radford, 8. Salo, 5. Joseph, 3. Rolison, 3. Dubnyk, 4. Talbot, 3. So other than Radford and Fuhr, they don't go past 5. But man, when they're there, they play a lot. They play a ton. Goalies, they've gone through 25, which isn't bad. Since 2000, they've gone through 14, which is high. So overall, pretty decent. Since 2000, it's been high. But again, they have Talbot going into his 4th year as the starter, unless he loses that job to Koskinen, and then you end up with a whole other thing. Do you trade Talbot? Does somebody else come in? For a long-term solution, they haven't really had one. I would go back as far as Fuhr, only because when Salo was a starter, his numbers were good. They weren't fantastic. He had some good games in there and some good seasons, but again, they've had their struggles. I guess you could look at Dwayne Rolison and say, well, Rolison had a good run. Rolison was older though at the time when he joined the Oilers, and clearly on the back 9 of his career rather than the front 9. And they haven't really had that blue chip goaltender prospect, other than you could argue Dubnyk was that, just didn't end up fulfilling that promise in Edmonton. But there you go. The Oilers' goaltending history from 79-80 until 2017-18. Current past season as I record this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.